Welcome to PhD with Women on IT, Hack the Future. My name is Beata Young, and today's PhD Positivity Hack delivered will be by our guest, Justin Goldstein. Today's title is Web 3.0, the blockchain effect. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, female leaders, who are supported by men as well, and little children as well, because we can hear Justin's little daughter
Oh, you can hear
crying
that?
in the background. Beautify. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo, and empathy is critical when you are building Web 3.0, the blockchain effect. Justin, where in the world are you, apart from the fact that you are somewhere upstairs trying to be isolated from your daughter?
Never, never. You can never do that. You can never do that. So I'm actually in Maryland. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Justin. I'm today in Poland, in Toruń, the birthplace of Nicolaus Copernicus. And today we are going to talk about positivity hack delivered, as well as we are going to talk about the way internet shaped the world by allowing democratic access to information. And blockchain is paving the road for how people and organizations set new business rules and exchange asset in this new Web 3.0, replacing trust by tamper-proof and self-enforcing technology protocol. Dr. Justin Goldstein, a leading expert in blockchain technology and its inclusion in business enterprises. As a certified management consultant, he has spent most of his career in industry working with leaders of organizations implementing enterprise applications around the world. With his love for technology and his passion to make a positive impact on social change, Dr. Goldstein has made it his mission to bring technological knowledge and capabilities to the people. Along with his domain experience, Dr. Goldstein is a member of the Blockchain Council, the World Blockchain Association, the Government Blockchain Association, and is currently studying in one of the first blockchain programs in the country at Cornell University. Welcome to Web 3.0, an internet where we can create content, share it, and execute agreements. Welcome to Read, Write, and Execute Universe. Justin, could you please tell us, because we talked about the Web 3.0, could you briefly explain the story, a history about Web 1.0, Web 2.0, where is it coming from?
So with the introduction of the web, I'm not sure if you all how far the age of your viewers, but back in the day, we had the dial up, we had America Online, and we had all of this messaging, but then you had the inclusion of this social media movement. Right, you had the social media movement. We were able to a lot of individuals were able to monetize their content, but the things were still centralized, and the creators of those platforms were the ones that were profiting the most off of these content creators. Where we're going with Web3, we are democratizing technology. We are leveraging. So Web3 is essentially, how I explain it is that it's the collision course between technology such as artificial intelligence, such as AI. I say AI because whenever I say AI, I call it augmented intelligence, but the buzzword, the marketing term is artificial intelligence, right? So it's going to be that technology coupled with blockchain as well as machine learning. But then we're going to also have to depend upon the Internet of Things to bring all of this together so that everyone can benefit. It's going to create, it's going to lead, in my opinion, my utopia is that it's going to lead to more equality, more diverse and inclusive individuals, more diverse and inclusive organizations. And there's one thing we're working with at CET called so we're actually going to create what we call a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. I'm not going to get into the weeds, but a decentralized autonomous organization really has no leadership. It's ran by the people. The decisions are made based on a voting system, based on a consensus method, a consensus mechanism by the people, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where a lot, that's where that's where a number of organizations are going to be moving into. I'm very excited about it because I believe that it's going to change the game. And our elevator pitch for CET is, we're reinventing higher education the Web3 way, but overall, outside of our vision, Web3 is reinventing the world. It's reinventing the world of business.
So let's go back to your utopia. One of our first discussion, we talked about, and you actually said that, and I was stunned by the fact that you said education is broken. It's actually stunning to hear it from somebody who's in the education system. Why is that, Justin?
I feel that the education systems, they're ran. We discuss, thinking unconventionally, and so I'm not going to say all. I am not going to say all. I'm going to say a number of institutions have this conventional mindset, this conventional thinking. They do not want to take risks. They do not want to be on the cutting edge. Now, there's going to be like the MITs and the UC Berkeleys and the Harvards who are going to be on the cutting edge of technologies. But a lot of these institutions, they have to have a proof of concept in some cases. So when we're talking about, and I'm specifically thinking about technology, right? So if I'm looking at blockchain is moving so fast, I cannot create a class based on a textbook, because that textbook is 2 years old whenever it gets released. The content within that book is a year to 2 years old whenever it gets released. So with the technology such as blockchain, I have to depend upon the people that are in that space to teach the future, right? So the same thing holds true with traditional programs. So I was teaching a capstone course with marketing students. It was their last semester before they graduated. They said they took one class that discussed social media and digital marketing. That's the space they're going into. The majority of their program should have been social media and digital marketing, right? So yes, I've made the bold statement in the past that the higher education system is broken. I'm going to retract that and say there's room for improvement.
Well, actually, given the fact that we experienced pandemic, we experienced all these empty rooms, empty halls without students, and I actually think we have proven that system education as we know it without people is broken. So we need that community who is benefiting from education, and majority of it was happening online.
Yeah.
And also the other problem is we have so many people involved, and then all of a sudden these people who are, for example, teaching us technology were not quite familiar with what they are using, right? We've heard funny stories about teachers who are teaching students, Gen Z, millennials, and they were so backwards that actually students could fool them into believing that somebody attended, whereas it was just a video of somebody looking bored.
They got me too. They got me too.
Tell me about it.
They got me too, and that's so, and yes, within it's like elementary school teachers, middle school teachers, high school teachers. Like within higher education, we have experience teaching in a virtual environment, right? But elementary, middle school, high school, they deserve a raise. They deserve an award because they had to pivot. They had to start from scratch. A lot of these higher education institutions, they'll teach a on ground class and an online class, same exact class. So they already have the content there, right? But middle school, elementary school, middle school, high school, they had to start from scratch and try and figure it out, and then some of these, and then some like early, I would say like March, April of last year, the parents were frustrated. Those teachers don't know what they're doing, all this. Come on now. They've never even taught online.
Yep.
Right? They're figuring it out. And even the administrators, have a hard time. So
totally. And I would say also, like, given the fact we are now talking just to each other in a hope that somebody is going to listen to us and make a comment and make this interaction, and actually somebody's talking. Hello, Olga. Great to see you back, Women on IT. We are looking forward to your questions, Olga. It's very tricky because you don't know how to interact with these people outside. You have to figure it out. As you said, some teachers just had to deserve a medal for their ways of how to interact with people, how to make them not to fall asleep, how to make them focus, because we still have got all these devices like mobile phones, and they are pinging with Facebook messages, and how to really check whether you've got full attention. And the only way is probably giving more homework, right?
No, I don't think so on that one. I think that the engagement, you're going to get engagement whenever you give them topics they can relate to, topics that are interesting to them, right? So in my case, I teach supply chain management. I teach project portfolio management, right? I teach project management. So like within project portfolio management, for example, I talk a lot about Unilever. Everyone can relate. Those students may not know who Unilever is, but whenever I bring up all the brands that Unilever owns, they say, "Oh, I have like five of those brands in my bathroom right now," right? So they can relate to it, right? Another thing. So portfolio management, we talk about something called the Elon portfolio. I'm a huge Elon fan, right? So we talk about Tesla, we talk about SpaceX, we talk about Neuralink, we talk about Solar City, so they can relate to it. And then that's going to prompt them to research those organizations even on their own time. There's been so many times where students came to me, "Oh, did you see that one thing about SpaceX? What SpaceX is doing, huh?" Then we're talking about that for 20 minutes. They're doing their own research because they can relate to it. They are interested in it. My favorite example of this semester is we had something called the Celebration of Scholarship at Penn State, and students can choose any topic they want to, but I talk about blockchain almost every single class. So the students talked about, their title was crypto and sustainability. So they did the research on how the proof of work model, like the Bitcoin mining and things like that, are not sustainable. They taught me one thing. They found that to mint one of these non-fungible tokens, to mint one of these NFTs, it's the one NFT. It's equivalent of a 1 hour flight. Right? I said, man, that's amazing. Right?
Yep.
So if you can relate it to something that they're interested in, they're going to do the research on their own. They're going to do their homework on their own, right? And they're going to go above and beyond.
They're gonna figure it out because it's interesting. It's something that is touching their lives on almost everyday basis. So when we talk about crypto and sustainability, there was a big talk about after Elon Musk decided to dump Bitcoin, and all of a sudden people thought, well, to create one Bitcoin, it costs so much, and you just said that to create one NFT, it is one flight, right? So,
yes,
but
it's unsustainable.
on the other hand, if you look at fiat money, that also creates quite a lot of it's not sustainable, right?
No, so it's not sustainable. And people say, well, where do you go? Well, there's something. So you have the proof of work with the mining, right? But then you have proof of stake. So proof of stake is one approach that a lot of blockchain organizations are adopting. Ethereum, the second largest current cryptocurrency, they're moving to a proof of stake model with Ethereum 2.0. So they're becoming more sustainable. So I say the proof of stake model is not only more sustainable from an environmental perspective. But if you look at all of the UN SDGs, that proof of stake model is going to benefit so many people from a global perspective. So we also have a decentralized finance platform, a decentralized finance offering where we're actually offering interest-free loans. So if you collateralize a loan, using Ethereum, we'll give you money to use. Right. So if you need $10,000, for example, you can put up $10,100 in Ethereum, and we'll give you a loan for $10,000. Once you return that, you get your Ethereum back. Right. And so people say, well, what's the benefit of that? You're paying what, 20% interest on credit cards. Right now, you're paying 10% interest to get a business loan. But the most important thing is, one, you have to have excellent credit. Two, a lot of people, I'm speaking for the US, two, a lot of people who want to start their own business, they can't get a loan. Right. In this space, in this DeFi space, I don't care what your credit score is. All you have to do is just put up collateral. Whenever you get your money back, you pay it back. You get your crypto back. All right. Okay. But again, and it's just an alternative. It's just an alternative. Right. That's all I say. But we're creating opportunity for everyone. Right. I don't care what your race is. I don't care where you're at in the world. I don't care what your credit score is. You get a interest-free loan.
That's fantastic. We have got quite a lot of questions coming. Olga Vasina, we haven't seen you for a while. Is the solution to advanced technology education and DAO?
Yeah. So DAO. Yeah. So Olga, yes, excellent question. And yes, that is going to be a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, where we're going. So a DAO is very beneficial. Where in traditional business, yes, you're going to have shareholders that can vote, on things, and executives make the decisions. Executives primarily make the decision of the organization. But with the decentralized autonomous organization, you are buying governance tokens. You are governing the future developments of that particular organization. Everything is decentralized. So our vision for our DAO is that we want students, we want universities, we want stakeholders or shareholders to all come together, to collaborate, to come to a consensus in terms of what the future developments are going to be for our solution. Right. So with CET, we're actually developing on the Polkadot blockchain, if you're familiar with that. And so we're going to have students from all around the world, from different disciplines, collaborate and build. Right. So I would say the most important thing with that is that if they collaborate and they build, similar to these non-fungible tokens, where the creator gets a percentage of that smart contract every time it executes. So for example, with a non-fungible token, that creator can sell that NFT for $1 million, I should say. Right. So once that new owner sells it to someone else, that original creator also gets a benefit from that. Right. With a microtransaction, we call it. Right. Same thing with these solutions within higher education. Every time that creation gets executed, gets used, that team gets benefited every single time in perpetuity.
Yeah. Question from Olga. Why did you choose Polkadot?
So we are trying to. I like Olga. Olga, connect with me on LinkedIn. We need to talk. So we chose Polkadot because most blockchains are good at one thing, right? Ethereum's good at smart contracts. Bitcoin's a store of value. Polkadot creates this cross-chain capability where that you can build a bridge between Ethereum, right? You can build a bridge between Chainlink. So now Polkadot can have what we call oracles, because Chainlink is good at oracles and confirmations and validations and things like that, right? So Polkadot already has a bridge with Chainlink. So for all the solutions that we're trying to create, like we're not just trying to create a DeFi platform. We're not just trying to create a supply chain platform. We're trying to create solutions for all these different industries: real estate industry, healthcare, supply chain, manufacturing, and the list goes on. And whenever we've done a lot of research on this, like over a year's worth of research on this, like what blockchain would be the best? And because of the cross-chain capability of Polkadot, that's why we chose Polkadot. And also, the founder of Polkadot is Gavin Wood. Gavin Wood was a co-founder of Ethereum. And we did our research, and Gavin Wood pretty much took the shortcomings of Ethereum and created Polkadot, right? So Ethereum is the blockchain with the greatest utility, in my opinion. Right. In most cases, you can't perform any transactions currently on a blockchain, even if you're not using Ethereum, without Ethereum. Right. So Ethereum is kind of the top blockchain in terms of utility. Again, in my opinion, my thoughts. Right. But Polkadot is going to be the blockchain of blockchains, because you're going to be able to link Ethereum to perform transactions. You're going to be able to link Chainlink. If you have a financial type use case, you can link Bitcoin, the Bitcoin blockchain, to Polkadot, right? So that's why we chose Polkadot. It's very early on. They just Akala's team created. They just won the parachain auction yesterday. So they're the first. I'm getting deep. The first parachain slot was issued to Akala's Karura project on Polkadot's testnet, which is called Kusama. Sorry, I went deep on that one.
That's fascinating. Well, you've got several topics here, and I like that Polkadot is the blockchain of utility. Justin, got it, Polkadot. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Bata. Great show as always. And again, you are building bridges to better understanding. Hack the future, PhD. And we've got the real person with real PhD tonight. Please bring these questions coming, Olga.
Yes.
Olga's got another one. So
please, Olga, keep them coming, Olga. You're getting me excited, Olga.
Yes, totally. Do we discuss faster peer review to get textbook production speed up? Moreover, what about more electronic books and not the old dead tree stuff that takes years?
Olga, we really
need to talk.
So I've created a number of graduate programs. And like that's what I speak with these administrators and chairs and deans. It's like I don't use textbooks in graduate school, right? Undergrad, yes, you're creating the foundations, So some of those books, depending on the subject, I'm still saying blockchain, you can't use a textbook, But like supply chain, finance, accounting, you can use a textbook because it doesn't change that much, right? But to answer your question. We have to get this peer-reviewed process speeded up. We're actually in that process of doing it now. I actually have a journal article tonight. So we're actually writing an article. I have a peer in India I'm working with. So we're writing a peer-reviewed journal article on decentralized finance. We're doing a case study for Akala. As a matter of fact, we have to submit that one tonight. And then we're also doing a journal article on DAOs at the end of next week. So it's due on the 30th. So, that real time peer review, that journal article may be published in maybe 6 months, right? And even in those 6 months, that may change because we're introducing hybrid finance in that article. because a college just announced that they have partnered with a bank. So hybrid finance is where you have a centralized bank, and then you have a decentralized platform like we're seeing, and you're creating hybrid finance. So you can make the choice based on your transaction, right? So if you look at hybrid finance, if you Google hybrid finance, there's not much out there. So we're going to have one of the first journal articles out there on hybrid finance. So yes, there's going to be developments after that, but yes, you have to start the conversation somewhere. And what better source is it from the people who actually created it? Right?
Totally.
But yeah, so ebooks. And so actually, as a matter of fact, I speak a lot with all the book publishers, McGraw-Hill, and all those other publishers, and they're actually trying to move away from printed books because it costs them a whole lot less to give the students a digital textbook. So because they're reducing overhead costs, from a printing perspective, you can get a digital ebook. You can get a digital ebook for $30 or $40. That's compared to like $300. I don't think they're $300 anymore. Every $300 when I was in college. They still cost about $200, $150, $200.
Justin, I have to interrupt you here, because if we're talking about book, and if I had my book from my husband, Patrick Young, who's here tonight, and he's asking questions, I would wave it in front of us and say, if you've got a chance, buy it on Amazon. It's available on Amazon with the foreword of Jeff Sprecher, the chairman of New York Stock Exchange, and it's focused on blockchain and the finance world and the future of finance, fintechs as it were. And Patrick is asking, in Patrick's opinion, IPO VIT, this is his show. He actually had a fascinating speaker yesterday, and he talked about blockchain and finance and cryptocurrency. And today he's asking fascinating issue on P2P loans. How can your platform be DeFi and not regulated? Or is it regulated?
It's regulated. It's regulated because you have to do the KYC to know your customer. Yeah. Right. So you still have to do KYC within the US. And Janet Yellen in the United States. So when we talk about decentralized autonomous organizations, Janet Yellen is actually she was not on the side of blockchain. She was not on the side of crypto, initially. But, when we began to discuss DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, she said that it removes the liability, from organizations. So she's actually not really championing DAOs, but she's making an adjustment, right? She's not on board yet, but she's thinking about it. Okay. But so to answer your question, if you have know your customer, so you still have to know your customer. So although the U.S. government, speaking about the U.S. government, we spoke with an attorney yesterday. Because Wyoming within the U.S. passed a bill to allow DAOs to register as LLCs starting July 1st. Right. Okay. So you see that in the United States. So they're starting to regulate it, but there's still some open questions. There's still some open questions of, if there's legal action, who gets sued, right? If there is some kind of negligence, who is responsible for that negligence? Is every single person in a DAO responsible? Right. So you have all those questions that need to be answered. And we're getting in there, not really getting in the front of it, but we know that additional regulation is coming. It. Right. But we're not running away from it. We're welcoming it. All other people are probably running from it. We're welcoming it because we want you to look at all of these things because we feel this is a future. Right.
Totally. Well, I hope, Patrick, you're happy with the answer. I added comment if you are looking for the book. It's available on various online bookstores. Victory or Death by Patrick Young. It's not available though on unprinted version. So hopefully Patrick can do not only preaching but also make it available on Kindle. I wanted to ask you,
Need to make it
just
more sustainable, Patrick.
absolutely, not just talking about it, but actually make it sustainable. So you said in one of your presentations, Justin, everything that we do in our careers, everything that we do in our personal lives is systems thinking. What is
Mhm.
systems thinking and how does it apply to our careers and personal life?
So systems thinking is essentially just the integration of everything that we do. So just to provide you with an example, you know, yes, by training, I'm a professor of supply chain management, but I do a lot of talks on sustainability, a lot of talks on corporate social responsibility, a lot of talks on artificial intelligence, a lot of discussions on blockchain. You know, where traditional professors, you have a professor that he stays with blockchain, he stays with AI, he or she stays with that, he or she stays with sustainability, you know, and people who hear me speak at conferences, my peers, you know, they say, "Man, you're all over the place." He's like, "Won't you?" He's like, is your lane supply chain? Is your lane technology?" No, it's systems thinking's my lane because supply chain, sustainability, diversity and inclusion, technology, they're all interconnected. They're all
Yep.
interconnected. So that's systems thinking. If you take sustainability for example, right? Sustainability, if you look at sustainability from a UN SDG perspective, there's 17 different topics, right?
Yep.
If you look at sustainability, it's a huge umbrella. Supply chain goes into that, technology goes into that. In my opinion, without technology, we can't meet those 2030 sustainable development goals, right? Without people in supply chain, we're not going to be able to meet about 2 or 3 of those UN SDGs. Meeting those UN SDGs depends upon so many different things, and that's why systems thinking, right?
Yep.
And if you look at your personal life, you know, and you look at technology, AI is a part of that. AI is systems thinking. AI is going to be a part of your life,
Yep.
right? You use it now. You use it now on your phone. You use it on Amazon. There you go. End of story. You use it on Netflix. There you go.
There you go.
You use it so. And I would say the most important. I would say the most important thing is we wouldn't have a vaccine without artificial intelligence because it normally takes about 8 years for these pharmaceutical companies to get, you know, a particular medication to trial, right? But because of artificial intelligence, you know, that tool is this machine learning tool is able to go through all of this data, right, to provide the researchers with something to begin with, you know. So I would say the greatest win from an AI perspective is, you know, is the vaccine. People disagree with me, but that's just my thoughts, right? Because you're going to get both sides of the fence regardless of what you talk about. You know, 'cause MIT study just came out and said that, you know, pictures and recognition, artificial intelligence is still working with that, but at the end, yes, we understand that we're very early on in this topic. Yes, we understand that. But if we're going to continue to bash it, we're not going to make any progress. Same thing with blockchain. You know, everybody was talking about blockchain 3 years ago, but because it was complex, it was very difficult to scale. You know, people said blockchain is never going to get adopted in the industry. You know, but if you are in this space, if you're deep in this space, you see the type of capability that this technology provides, and the lot and how it's going to change so many people's life. You know,
Justin, I can't stop but think about the fact that it's a wishful thinking because I just traveled, and I had opportunity to travel during COVID, and I
Mm-hmm.
have to say that it has not changed since December when I traveled last. I traveled via Brussels, so I had to stop over. I prepared lots of, so I had to do the test. The test was sent to me. This is brilliant. The test was sent over the internet. That's great. But then I had to fill in forms that were paper forms, two paper forms per each country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then it was gathered by the steward on board, and it's exactly the same as I was traveling last week on Wednesday. I traveled from Malta, and not only there were two papers to travel to Poland, but also there was another kind of business card size little paper that was added that I wouldn't be able to even enter the airport. Okay, so I wonder, isn't it missed opportunity? Like, we've got blockchain, we've got all this internet of things, we've got all this, we can, some people are even having theory that once you've got vaccine, they can track you down. Why are we not using technology? And why are we still printing sheets of paper to go from country A to B?
It's going. It's going to take time. These technologies are going to take time to gain mass adoption. The way I explain it is the internet took 20 years to catch on, right? It took 20 years to catch on. But there were discussions on use cases such as that. Organizations were talking about putting the vaccine. Once you're vaccinated, they were talking about putting it on the blockchain, right? But that would take the agreement of every single country around the world to make that happen, right? Now that's kind of a feat in itself. I know over in Europe, your countries are kind of like our states, but if the United States wanted to do that, that would be very easy to do. But you have privacy concerns with people and things like that. I think that they should have put it on a blockchain, because I think, Singapore has Singaporean government has tracking apps, for individual. I think a lot of countries in the UK have those apps as well. So yes, the technology's there. The technology's there. The education and adoption is not.
Totally. So we can agree on everybody needs to have vaccine. We need to have herd immunity, but we can't agree on a system that we could monitor who had vaccine, who didn't, who's entering where. So
yes, a global system.
Yeah. So that's interesting, because I think blockchain could help there, right?
Yeah, blockchain can help there because now everything is transparent. People are going back to school, going back to school in a couple of months, and these institutions are requiring, all of those students to be vaccinated. You have students coming from all around the world at some of these large institutions, such as Penn State, UCLA, University of Texas, University of Florida, Florida State. Those large institutions, they have people coming from all over the world. So you may have people that refuse to get vaccinated. And now, just like how people create, counterfeit passports, are we looking at counterfeit, documentation for your vaccine because you don't want to take the vaccine, So that's the things I think about, and the blockchain. So actually, as a matter of fact, the blockchain actually uncovered the vaccine. The blockchain actually uncovered counterfeit COVID tests back in April and May of last year. So that technology proved that use case, that it can track and trace counterfeit devices, and so that's a perfect use case for counterfeit drugs. And I think Pfizer and Moderna were talking about it. And that's another thing where a lot of these companies, they're putting these transactions on the blockchain. You just don't know it. So I know Pfizer and Moderna were talking about putting those transactions on the blockchain. So a permissioned blockchain, where Pfizer and Moderna can track it, and wherever those products go, they'll be within this blockchain network. And then if the hospitals and the doctor's offices really wanted to look at it, they could be a part of it, and they could see the tracking and tracing of every single node or every single entity that handled that particular lot number. So that's where the blockchain use case comes in from a supply chain management perspective.
Well, I think the problem might be also how to shift from the system they used to work on into blockchain, because I think it's very difficult now, especially with huge supply of vaccines. It's quite tricky. And I have to say, because I used to work for a pharmaceutical wholesaler back in Poland, and it was one of the biggest one. And I remember always, not only the lot number was very critical when we were withdrawing or extending expiry date, because you could do another testing on a specific lot number. And then you could say, okay, we can have another 4 weeks of extending the time for a specific, whether it was cream or ointment or whatever it was. But I'm thinking about, how do we actually start that shifting? Is there anything that universities are doing at the moment?
The universities are shouting it from the rooftops, and I think that, first and foremost, it begins with education. And like I've said that like 5 times already, but I'm going to keep saying it. It begins with education, and it begins with eliminating the misconceptions. Even with a vaccine, eliminating misconceptions. With these emerging technologies, eliminating misconceptions. You have to say what it really is. Like I said, artificial intelligence is augmented intelligence. Blockchain is nothing but transparency. That's all it is. It's all it is. It's transparency. It increases trust. It increases security. That's all it is. Right? Yep. And so you say, well, we talk about these digital currencies. Well, you know what? When it comes to money, people don't trust each other. That's why it's on the blockchain, because everything's transparent. Right? I tell people that, I say, you can go on Etherscan right now and you can type in my name and you can see my wallet. I do that because I educate people. Right? Some people say that's absolutely crazy. Right? But the thing is, it comes down to education. If you see that I'm transparent with what I'm doing, what I'm trying to teach, then maybe you can start thinking about, well, maybe this is a viable solution. Right? So it comes down to education. It comes down to eliminating the misconceptions. And yes, a lot of academic institutions are listening. There are some that still need some convincing. So University of Nicosia, I've been working with them. University of Nicosia has been accepting Bitcoin for, I think, 2 or 3 years for tuition.
Yep.
So you have some that are on the cutting edge, but it's with any discipline though. You have some medical schools that are top in the world. You have Penn State, one of the top supply chain programs in the world. You have University of Nicosia, UC Berkeley, top blockchain institutions in the world. MIT, top blockchain and AI institutions in the world. That's where these developments are emerging out of.
Totally. But still, there might be a problem with, and Patrick's talking about it, big business going blockchain. The innovator's dilemma lives. So we have 1,000%. There you go. There you go, Justin. You're actually mixing business with education, and you have hands-on approach. So what would be your advice to these companies who are looking into blockchain? How to start?
It starts with research and education. So Joe Henwood, he's VP of inventory at Levi Strauss, LS & Co, Levi Strauss, in California. He reached out to me because he's a Penn State alum. So he reached out to me and said, you know, I'm in this blockchain education program at UC Berkeley. You know, he's a vice president and he's going back to school, right? He's educating himself on this technology so that he can knowledgeably explain it to his peers within Levi's, right? That's what we have to do. That's what we have to do. And that's what I tell people. It's like, I say, you can never stop learning. You can never stop learning, especially in this space, you know, because it's changing so quickly. And I say that to my peers that are tenured professors. You got your PhD in 1983 before I was born. Don't you think the world has changed since then? Right? Yeah. You have to continue to educate yourself because the world is changing so quickly. You know, so I think education is the most important thing.
Totally. We've got Patrick talking about how does blockchain help educate more accessible education, more accessible and more affordable. I always worry American universities in particular are very expensive.
That is why we created CET. We want to democratize education. We want to democratize the technology. We want to make it accessible for everyone, right?
How?
Now, so we're creating a platform. Like I said, regardless of where you are in the world, regardless of what institution you go to, regardless of what major that you're in, right? You can access this platform. You can be a CET ambassador, you know, and you get rewarded for it. You know, you get rewarded for it in utility tokens, you know, that you could use on this platform, that you can use to collaborate with your peers to create and innovate, right? You're going to get rewarded in governance tokens. So now you have a say in this organization, in this DAO, because you contributed, because you put in your, what we call in the industry, because you put in sweat equity. We are teaching these students how to be leaders in this Web3 future, in this Web3 world, right? And most importantly, even if, yeah, Smiley coin, exactly. Even if they do not want to go into this Web3 world, into blockchain, into artificial intelligence, you know what? They're collaborating with people. They're collaborating with people around the world. They're collaborating with people from different disciplines, because that's what's going to be required once they go into whatever industry they go into. That's our vision, right? Yeah. And he said, and our thing is, hey, if you want to learn, if you want to create, and if you want to get compensated for that forever, because it's going to be on a smart contract, if you create a solution, we're here. Right. And we've been speaking, like I said, at University of Nicosia. I have a webinar that's gonna be, I got two webinars that's going to go on at Penn State in April to introduce CET to organizations within the manufacturing sector and in the financial sector. You know, we've been working with Georgetown. So I'm actually an advisory board member for the graduate school at Georgetown. We're going to introduce CET at Georgetown. So we're making a lot of progress to educate, get this hands-on experience for these students, because this Web3 movement is coming, and it's coming very quickly.
So what will be your coin? Is it CET coin or?
So, all right. So the governance token. So the governance token is a CET token, right? SYD, okay. Right? But our utility token. So our project is called Project Blockchain. Let me explain. Right? So we're creating a platform that is what we refer to as an off-the-grid platform. Right? It's going to be an off-the-grid network. So because you have these networks in Polkadot where you have programmers with 15, 20 years of experience in a test net. They know what they're doing, right? We want to create a safe place, a safe platform where students can learn, they can collaborate with people around the world, and they can innovate, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to put out what we call bounties. So if an organization wants a blockchain solution, they'll put out a bounty for, however many CET tokens, and then those students can pretty much it's pretty much like a competition, right? We try to gamify everything. We try to make it fun. So they create a smart contract. We'll get that smart contract audited, and then it goes onto a solution, a platform where again they create that solution within that smart contract. Those students can dictate how much they get, from that once every time it gets executed, they can determine how much they get. Right now, if that's crazy, then that person can see that. But we're going to educate those students throughout the way as they are creating, to say you have to understand and make this realistic. Yes, you can get 10%, like a microtransaction, right? You can get a microtransaction from that, right? You have to make it really. So that's the education that we're teaching these students. We're teaching the students the education of how to make decisions on a solution in business, right? We're also educating them on financial literacy. So once you get those tokens, you can stake those tokens, right, to gain interest. You can actually loan out those tokens to gain interest. You can add to a liquidity pool to gain interest. That's the type of things adults do not understand. Whenever I was an undergrad, nobody taught me about financial literacy. Nobody taught me how to write a check. My mother taught me how to write a check when I was in high school. These kids, I bet you, I want to run a poll of how many college students can write a check. Now people argue, oh, you don't write checks anymore. I write checks 2 or 3 times a week. Although I'm a digital guy, right? I'm a tech guy. A lot of organizations do not have that capability yet. So you have to have those tools. So we're trying to give them the business tools as well as the tools they need in life, because that comes from me saying I didn't get that whenever I was in college, and I struggled once I went into the industry, right? And also, most importantly, we're going to have these blockchain organizations. They have access to this test net, or to this platform, right? So whenever they're looking for developers, whenever they're looking for project managers in blockchain, they go onto this tech platform. That's where I do their recruiting. We're creating an incubator. Okay. We're creating an incubator of future Web3 leaders.
Fantastic. But if you were to pitch it to your daughter, she's 1 year old, what would be your pitch, right? Always startup have to come up with a pitch that is strong enough and also simple enough to
give me a second.
Get.
I'm going to show you something.
Yes, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we are waiting for Justin to show us.
She gets it. She understands it.
Great. Was that written by you?
No. But I mean, she understands it. But that's an excellent question. That's an excellent question in that, when I was doing those TED Talks, the best feedback I received was from students from Rochester Institute of Technology. They said, Dr. Goldstein, like, we're at one of the top tech institutions in the world. Like, your presentation you just taught us, you lost all of us, right? She's like, you have to break it down. You have to break it down to where a child can understand it. Yeah. And like I said, blockchain is nothing but transparency and security. So whenever you explain it that way, they say, okay, tell me more. Now you have people's attention. Whenever you're going away from this DeFi stuff and hi-fi and DAOs, you lose people. They have no time for that. It's kind of like once you're talking in the stock market, you're talking about derivatives and all this other futures. And no, give me some Apple, give me some Tesla, give me some Amazon, and I'm gonna just let it sit
and enjoy it. Fabulous. So, Justin, you talk about inclusivity a lot, and you talk about we need the power to the people, give power to the people, give power to your students. And I wonder, from your experience, you are dealing with different people, different students of different backgrounds, and maybe you could give advice to our female audience or minority audience, and tell us, what do you feel is the most important, I don't know, feature or most important quality that a woman or a person in minority could bring to the table with technology?
So I'm actually writing a book called AI for Good, Achieving Sustainability Through Citizen Science and Organizational Citizenship. And when I talk about artificial intelligence, I'm proposing that we need diverse teams of developers, diverse teams of auditors, because they see things that these current developers do not. And what I'm getting at is that diversity on your board, diversity on a leadership team, diversity in your workforce leads to a competitive advantage, right? And I always say that I'm not for everybody. I'm pretty sure some of you can see that by now. But whenever organizations ask me to join as an advisor, when they ask me to join on a board, I go look at their board and I say, I'm not going to be the only one on there. I said, if you don't have anybody, I'm bringing people with me, right? I'm bringing in minorities. I'm bringing in women, because I know that's competitive advantage. If you have 50-year-old male Caucasians on the board, you're not going to. How is a board of 50-year-old male Caucasians going to innovate in this Web3 world we're moving into? They don't have the time. They don't have the time to understand it. They don't want to understand it, right?
Well,
you need people that are young, diverse, hungry, and want to learn. That's how you innovate.
totally. Otherwise, it's white blokes talking to white blokes about other white blokes, as Cindy Gallop said. Justin, we are coming to the end of our show, and I would like to ask you about your favorite life lesson quote. Can you share how that was relevant to you in your life?
So actually, I kind of alluded to it previously in the last answer, in that I always tell my students my favorite quote, from a business school perspective, is a competitive advantage is only temporary, right? And I take that and I transfer that to my personal life, right? So I say that, yes, I understand a lot in terms of supply chain management. Yes, I understand a lot because I spent my career in enterprise applications, enterprise resource planning, right? But whenever I seen an AI tool, I talk a lot, right? It's hard to have me speechless. But whenever I was sitting in a conference and I seen this AI tool within this ERP system, I was speechless. And I said, man, this is going to be crazy. And from that point on, I've been heads down into artificial intelligence and blockchain, right? So again, competitive advantage is only temporary. That means you can never stop. You can never stop learning. You have to continue to learn, continue to learn, continue to learn. Listen to podcasts, listen to conference presentations. Go on YouTube. Whenever I'm grading papers, I have YouTube playing on my TV. I can sit for 2 hours and I can hear one nugget, then I go into a rabbit hole. Right? That's how we that's how we uncovered DAOs. That's how I uncovered citizen science for my book. So you'll never stop learning. You never stop learning. I think that's the most important thing, because a competitive advantage is only temporary, even from a personal perspective.
Totally. I have to say that it's a mic drop moment for everybody here. We have no more questions, although there is a very good quote that we are going to use over and over. I would also add for the mix, the positive attitude, because I think that we can never have enough positivity, especially on today's topic, positivity hack delivered Web 3.0. Justin, time for final question. Imagine the pandemic is over, we can travel the world without paperwork and so on, and you could have a private breakfast with anybody in the world, anywhere in the world. Who it would be, and where would you take this person?
All right. I've been thinking about this for the last hour and a half, and I still can't fix. So there's a tie. All right. Tie, one place though. So I would say Barack Obama is one. At his place, of course. I know, super nice. And I'm gonna say Barack. Can we bring in Elon? But I say Barack Obama because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that a lot of people don't know that he had to go through. A lot of sacrifices he had to make that he does not put in his book, that he does not put in interviews. So I want that one-on-one conversation to kind of pick his brain to say, how did you become one of the most idolized people in history? Right? Because there's a lot of stuff like, so people see what they want you to see, right? And there's going to be a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of things, a lot of sacrifices they don't want you to know about. And I kind of want to get into that with Barack, with former President Barack Obama. I'm sorry, right? And then with Elon, so whenever I explain it to students, because I just did a career day at a middle school, and I know that I had to approach it a different way to get their attention. So I was like, you remember Kobe Bryant? I was like, yeah, people said Kobe had this Mamba mentality for basketball. I said, you have to have that same exact mentality with education, right? So that's transfer. So whenever I think about that, me within this Web3 space, within this blockchain space, I have to have that Elon mentality, right? So with that, I have to read everything Elon's. I have to look at all Elon's YouTube interviews. I have to look at everything that's written about Elon to kind of get in his brain to see how he thinks. Right? Some people say that's crazy, but I'm in the same tech space. Everybody says entrepreneurs are crazy, right? So I think that Barack and Elon at President Obama's place.
That's a good choice. Although I have to say that I'm quite disappointed because it's still gonna be just blokes. There is no female there.
Oh, so you got me on that one. Ooh. Ooh. Oh no, wait, no, back up. No. Michelle's gonna be there.
Better answer.
Michelle's gonna be there. Yeah. There you go.
Justin, thank you so much. That was an excellent answer, even though it had to be improved at the end. Next week's topic, and this is what we talked about a little bit today. Justin talked about leaders of the future, the students who needs to be taught leadership, and we are going to talk next week how to lead in the post-COVID world and how to be an excellent leader. Ladies and gentlemen, when you focus on positives, the positives gets more positive. As always, our positivity quote comes from Positive Thinking Only and goes, look for something positive in each day, even if some days you have to look a little harder. Even if some days you have to dream about that private breakfast with Michelle Obama, Elon Musk. We wish you success with creating captivating Web 3.0, blockchain, whatever the name is going to be for your future. Whether you have competitive advantage, it's only temporary. Life lesson quote by Justin highlighted today's topic about Web 3.0. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Maya Angelou is, as always, our topic of conversation. Today is your day to hug the future. Thank you very much, Justin. Thank you very much, Olga, Patrick Young, for coming in and bringing your questions. Today is your day, and hug the positivity you want. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.